This is one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. The idea is hilariously Randy, but it's also mostly just the inciting incident for Stan's big Easter adventure. They just start to utilize him in a more foundational supporting role, rather than just part of the town. But the biggest change after The Losing Edge was that we started to get episodes that were basically 100% Randy episodes, and we would usually get at least a couple a season. Even the end of season 9 throws Randy to the forefront of the show again in Bloody Mary, when Randy gets pulled over for drunk driving.
What seems to be the officer problem?
This episode actually deals with Randy's addictive personality, but it also does so in the most Randy way possible. When an AA meeting tells Randy that his alcoholism is a disease, Randy takes this, well, about as far as you'd expect Randy to take it.
This disease is just eating me up! I hate my illness!
After this, we see so many Randy-centric episodes that continue to elevate the Randyisms to a ridiculous degree. Season 11's Apologies to Jesse Jackson shows Randy, well, we all know what Randy does in this episode. Just ludicrous stupidity, and his response to the controversy is equally ludicrous. Season 13's Pinewood Derby is another of my personal favorites, and this is basically just a Randy highlight factory. He's so desperate for Stan to win the Pinewood Derby that he steals a superconducting magnet from the Large Hadron Collider. Because of this, the car literally breaks warp speed, leading to first contact with alien life. But because of Randy's complete incompetence, he basically leads the human race down the exact wrong path. In the end, it turns out that the aliens were testing the human race to see if they were worthy of being a part of their intergalactic federation, and Randy's leadership gave them their answer, a resounding no way.
Since you did not return the space cache, your species and your planet is hereby forever blocked off and barred from the rest of the universe.
I mean, to be fair, the entire planet goes along with Randy's awful plan, so it's not all on him, but he did lead the way. In fact, Randy is shown to lead a lot of weird fads. Season 14's medicinal fried chicken is a particularly egregious example of this. When a medical marijuana dispensary opens up in South Park, Randy literally gives himself cancer so that he can get high all the time. Can I show this? I don't know if I can even show this. I guess I'll do some blurring. But Randy also ends up convincing all of his friends in town to do the same thing. This is so funny, but it's another example of the lengths Randy would go to feed his addictive personality. And the show also goes to great lengths to explore the depths of Randy's insecurities. In the episode More Crap, Randy breaks the world record for largest dump ever taken. He instantly gets competitive about it, and he is so depressed when his record is beaten by Bono. Look, this is absolutely one of the most ridiculous episode premises in South Park history, but you cannot deny that it truly explores Randy on a substantial and meaningful level.
I know that this late in my life, I'll never come so close to finally having meaning.
The longer the show continues, the more they explore Randy's regrets and his desires to leave some sort of lasting impact on the world, to have some sort of major success that gives his life the meaning he craves. This idea is also further explored in season 14's Cream Fraiche. I can't say this title without laughing. This episode is where Randy becomes completely obsessed with the Food Network and becoming a celebrity chef. He even starts working at the school cafeteria.
Today we're gonna be making the students my tasty baked ziti with basil and fresh mozzarella.
Damn, remember Chef? I miss Chef. This episode ultimately gives an alternative explanation for Randy's Food Network obsession, but this again illustrates Randy's desire to be something more than what he already is. And this actually comes to a head in an incredible season 15 episode, You're Getting Old. This episode is genius, one of my favorites of the whole show. I know I've said that a bunch already. And Randy's story is very much secondary to Stan's, but it also says a lot about the state of South Park. Honestly, I think I might do a separate video on this episode and its place in South Park history, but for now let's focus on Randy. The episode is specifically about Randy's refusal to admit that life is passing him by. The kids are all into a new music genre called tweenwave, which pointedly sounds like literal shit to Randy and all other adults.
Oh, come on. That music sounds like shit.
No, it's just young and hip, so you don't get it, Sharon.
But Randy will not admit that he isn't hip to the new trends. He falsely claims that he actually loves the music, even though it's abundantly clear that it sounds like shit to him. In fact, he even tries to start performing his own tweenwave music, thinking that this might be his chance to actually make it big as a musician. And the results are, well,
I got a fever, but it's under control.
This is not only hilarious, but it lines up so well with what we know about Randy and his history. Randy was in a boy band at age 18 and tasted success, but that success was short-lived. We learned in the Guitar Hero episode that Randy played guitar and had dreams of being a rock star that never panned out. And through so many of these episodes that we've talked about, Randy has desperately tried to capture some sort of new success in life. But Randy's antics finally catch up to him in his relationship with Sharon, who is just completely fed up with his behavior. And she cites all of these same things that we've been talking about as the reason for this.
You do this all the time! First, you're obsessed with baseball fights. Then you need to play Warcraft. Then you gotta be a celebrity chef.
The two of them argue until they actually get to the root of the issue.
Because I'm unhappy, okay? I've been unhappy for a long time.
Now, this is definitely metatextual and has a lot to do with how Matt and Trey were feeling about the show itself at the time, which again, I'd really like to make a video about, but this also says a ton about Randy as a character. After all, in a lot of ways, Randy is a reflection of Matt and Trey themselves, so it all kind of ties together. The reason that Randy continues to become more bombastic and obsessive and journey down these ridiculous story paths is because he isn't happy with his life, something that has been really well established over the course of the show. This episode actually ends with Sharon and Randy getting divorced. And honestly, the montage set to Fleetwood Mac's Landslide is really emotionally affecting. Okay, maybe the song is just emotionally affecting no matter what, but I love the sequence. And while this episode and its follow-up did sort of put out the idea that the show and its characters needed a change and shouldn't just reestablish the status quo, they sort of throw that idea away for a quick joke.
Get in the car, Stan. Your mom and I are moving back in together.
What?
We worked it out, pal. Surprise!
Which is a really funny moment, admittedly. But even though it seemed like they were going to return back to the status quo, over the following 8 seasons, the show really started to see some major changes. For a few seasons, Randy continues his ridiculous plans as expected. In Broadway Brodown, he becomes obsessed with Broadway musicals, even venturing to write one for himself, which is a little autobiographical for Matt and Trey. In season 16, Randy creates a football replacement sport called Sarcastaball and even becomes the head coach of the Denver Broncos. He buys a Blockbuster Video in the year 2012, thinking that it's his ticket to finally being successful.
And some gifts for the kids too. After all, we're rich now.
This turns into a full-blown Shining parody and Randy nearly kills his family, but it's also just another example of how desperate Randy is to find a new success in his life. In season 17, Randy becomes a mall security guard for Black Friday, initially just planning on using his position to get a better spot in line for Black Friday deals, but eventually becoming fully invested in the massive war that is holiday shopping. But in season 18, the show starts to try something new. Serialization, at least in small doses. This wasn't a fully serialized season, but there were aspects of each episode that continued to cross over through the entire thing. And for Randy in season 18, there was one thing that played out all season long.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I am Lord, yeah, yeah, yeah. Lord, Lord, come in, Lord, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's right, for season 18, Randy was moonlighting as music sensation Lord, all while still working as a geologist. This is definitely Randy's biggest accomplishment, though it seems that it maybe didn't bring him all that much joy since he was sort of pretending to be someone else. In fact, in the middle of the season, he even takes a little break to pursue cock magic, apparently something that he used to do in college. This is another of my favorite episodes. You should go watch it if you haven't seen it. But it appears that Randy's career as Lord was short-lived because in season 19, he's onto all kinds of new ventures. He joins a PC frat, he spearheads the attempts to gentrify parts of South Park so that they can get a Whole Foods.
Yes, it's where the presidential candidate is from. No, hold on. Soda Sopa. We have a soda sopa. The town is completely different.
Interestingly, this was actually a pretty Randy light season, and both seasons 20 and 21 are similar. For season 20, the first truly and fully serialized season, Randy's throughline has a lot to do with his addiction to member berries, basically nostalgia fruit. It ultimately culminates in Randy being sort of zombified and possessed, but this lines up pretty effectively with the addictive tendencies we've seen from him over the entire show. Season 21 has a couple Randy-focused episodes. He has a show called White People Renovating Houses.
I do the construction and practice MMA in my spare time.
He becomes really fixated on canceling Columbus Day, even though he previously was super obsessed with Christopher Columbus.
You have to understand, it was 2013. Everyone was stoked on Columbus back then.
Pretty standard Randy action, hyperfixations coupled with ridiculous stupidity. It kind of seems like the show was just running through the motions with Randy after a stint as Lord, giving him a few episodes a year and having fun with him. But everything would change in season 22.
Loaded up the kids, took my wife by the arm, and I moved on out to a Colorado farm.
In season 22, Randy gets fed up with his life and the people of South Park, and he moves his family to the valley to become weed farmers. Some people take issue with this development, but it actually makes plenty of sense given what we know about Randy. We know he's been unhappy with his life and is constantly trying to fill that void with new careers and experiences. I mean, he's been a geologist, boy band member, Walmart employee, cafeteria chef, Broadway musical writer, coach of the Denver Broncos, mall security guard, owner of Blockbuster Video, music sensation Lord, cock magician, host of White People Renovating Houses, and now, finally, a weed farmer. But this is also something that speaks to his addictive personality. I mean, he's been addicted to gambling, alcohol, heroin hero, weed, internet porn, member berries, crack, and weed again. Season 22 has a lot of fun with Tegrity Farms for this one episode, and then it sort of acts as a minor subplot / throughline for the remainder of the season. Events take place there, like Man Bear Pig mauling Ned, but there isn't much of a focus on it story-wise until the season finale, Bike Parade. But this season finale, I think, is really important for Randy's development moving forward. Because of the Amazon strike, Randy starts getting a huge amount of traffic through Tegrity Farms, like probably the most success he's ever seen in his life, save for Lord, but we won't count that. And pretty quickly, this goes to Randy's head. He does end up helping the town take down Jeff Bezos by getting everyone stoned enough not to care about the Amazon strike, but chasing down the success leads directly into season 23, which is a different show entirely. And I mean that literally. The South Park theme song is nowhere to be found.
Going down to Tegrity Farms, gonna have myself a time.
Completely replaced by the new Tegrity Farms title sequence. Randy Marsh was now, fully and officially, the star of South Park. The first 6 episodes of the season are literally episodes of Tegrity Farms, and Randy is the main character throughout. But the through line for these episodes is how through selling weed with quote-unquote Tegrity, Randy starts to chase success, and in the process, completely loses all Tegrity. In the first episode of Tegrity Farms, Randy literally bombs the home grow ops of South Park residents because they're taking away his business. In the second episode, he makes a deal with communist China, who uses his weed to plant on protesters. This episode would actually get South Park banned in China. He starts selling plant-based burgers using his leftover product, claiming it's for the environment, but then proceeds to murder an entire herd of cattle because he doesn't know what to do with them. Tegrity Farms is about a man who has achieved success beyond his wildest dreams and completely loses sight of what is right and wrong in the process. The show focuses on Randy for the first 6 episodes of the season before airing the Tegrity Farms quote-unquote season finale. But then in South Park's actual season finale, the 10th episode of the season, they run back to Randy to ask for help to get the town in the Christmas spirit. And his solution: to sell everyone weed that is caked in cocaine. That's Tegrity. He even does a line with Santa and Jesus.
Okay, I get it. It's really clean.
And this just continues into the pandemic special. We see Randy showcase probably the least Tegrity yet, revealing that when in China, Randy actually created the coronavirus. I'm not going to show you how though. I'm pretty sure I'll get demonetized. The entire special, he tries to fix the problem, but not because he feels remorse. It's simply because he doesn't want to get caught. No damn Tegrity. The funniest thing about Randy and Tegrity Farms is how he's sort of being used to convey meta commentary to the audience from Matt and Trey. The general response to Tegrity Farms from the fan base has been, please go back to South Park. So basically, Matt and Trey say this in the show through Randy.
You know, is it me, or are people starting to not be that stoked on Tegrity Farms?
But they also sort of mock the fans about it in really funny ways.
Did everyone enjoy the Halloween special?
No, Randy. Only you did.
Oh, well, that was pretty much my target audience anyway.
Even after the vaccination special, which in so many ways resets the show back to the status quo, they still make it clear that Randy isn't done with Tegrity Farms. And honestly, I'm pro Tegrity Farms. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I'd rather the creators of the show have fun and find creative inspiration than try to force the show to be what it used to be. I don't want a soulless imitation of South Park's classic seasons. I want inspired stories that they're excited to tell. So for now, Randy Marsh is the owner and operator of Tegrity Farms, and he had a wild journey getting there. He started as a pretty simple father and geologist. We were slowly introduced to some funny quirks and obsessions, which then evolved into wild hyperfixations and career changes in the midst of a midlife crisis, and finally settled into a weed farmer with absolutely no Tegrity. If we looked at Randy in the first season and the most recent season, you probably wouldn't be able to tell it's the same character. But when you watch the series beginning to end, it couldn't have happened any other way. Hey folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to check out the Cartoons That Curse podcast. If you like this video, let me know down in the comments and do all the liking and subscribing thing. And also let me know if there's any other South Park topics you want me to cover. Peace.
Johnny!
Two challenges.
Daddy's home.
It's been around 3 years since I uploaded a video on this channel. That's a long time. Basically what happened is, after the last video, I got really excited and I really wanted to start like making videos on the regular. And then I got really depressed for no reason, and then there was a worldwide pandemic, and then I got really depressed. And then I sat on a cold rock in the woods for around 14 months, and here we are. You're all caught up. So, to my friends, supporters, patrons, and subscribers, I give you the gift of me talking about a cartoon you've never heard of for almost an hour.
Well, here you go.
The Venture Brothers is an animated comedy action series that ran on Adult Swim from 2004 to 2018. The show acts as a parody of the old-school serialized sci-fi action adventure and mystery stories you once found in comics, novels, films, and on TV, such as The Hardy Boys, Doc Savage, The Fantastic Four, Tom Swift Jr., and of course Johnny Quest. The show focuses on washed-up super scientist and former boy adventurer Dr. Thaddeus Rusty Venture, living in the shadow of his vastly more successful, heroic, and masculine scientist father, resentful and traumatized, but still carrying on the family traditions of super science, going on globe-trotting adventures, and regularly dealing with supervillains. Most prominently, his butterfly-themed megalomaniac nemesis the Monarch, and dragging around his overqualified bodyguard Brock and the next generation of traumatized boy adventurers, his two oblivious sons, Hank and Dean, the Venture Brothers. Okay, that's a synopsis, certainly. That's what the show is about. But that's not what The Venture Brothers is, exactly. The Venture Brothers is a fucking world, man. This series is an unfurling web of narratives and characters that gets bigger and richer one way or another with every passing episode. So maybe I should lead with this. The Venture Brothers is my favorite television show. Probably ever. I've seen the whole thing through well over a dozen times, and it has yet to get old. To me, this show was a gift. It always felt like something that was too good for network television, and in the end, I guess it was. It was canceled last year after its last episode aired in 2018. There is thankfully a movie on the way that will properly wrap up the events of the series, but it still hurts to have the plug pulled like that. There's no more weekly t-shirt club, there's no more tune in next week Venturoos for Escape to the House of Mummies Part 3. The serialized adventure format was part of the soul and part of the joke, and it's just over now. Which stings, but it's okay too. I wouldn't be a fan of the show if I couldn't appreciate things that end abruptly, awkwardly, and sometimes painfully. Since this came in the heels of former head of Adult Swim Mike Lazzo's retirement from the company, fans have hypothesized that he was more or less the main force keeping the show on the air. There are certainly a number of other factors in the mix, but whether or not it's true, it's a romantic thought that the series was kept in production by a single lone appreciator. It's fitting in a way, because that's who you do it for, isn't it? The one guy who gets the joke. Hi, I'm Steak.
Don't come any further, you're in the germ-free zone!
Oh, pull yourself together, man.
Hey!
I spent the past year and a half trapped in a box. It's been a lot longer than that. Woo! Let's make some magic. Much like the series itself, this video initially claims to be about failure, and it will be, but it'll be about a whole bunch of other things too. Sorry, you gotta title these things somehow. If SEO would let me get away with calling it Shadow Man 9 in the Cradle of Destiny, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. This video contains spoilers for the entirety of the Venture Brothers. If it looks interesting to you, give it your time. In terms of sensitive content, fair warning, it's a cartoon that ran on Adult Swim since the early 2000s. The show has a good heart, but you know, it was the 2000s. You get what you'd expect. I think you'll be fine. If not, that's fine too. Also, season 1 is a bit of a rocky start, but it picks up fast, and it might just be worth your time. If you don't, I guess you're just here to hear me talk, which is fine too. I miss you too, Stretch. Not in a parasocial way though, fuck off.
Let's cuddle.
Before I get too deep into things here, I want to rep some better shit than this. Channel Super Swim Team 7 made a couple great vids about the series and then graciously compiled most of the other analysis videos on the topic into a playlist, on which are two of my personal favorite creators on the platform, B-Mask and Strucci Movies. B-Mask also made a killer Fantastic Four video that for me helped sequence a bit more of the genome of this series, since counterintuitively I'm not personally much of a superhero comics guy myself.
What is this crap?
Trying not to use the word cape shit anymore, because last time I did an angel died. I've watched all the videos here, all great, big thumbs up, check them out, ring that bell. Don't ring mine though, it's poison. The Venture Brothers is the brainchild of series creator Christopher McCulloch, aka Jackson Public, and his co-writer Doc Hammer. I don't like to say brainchild, partially because it sounds foul, and partially